I believe that the reason God created man was for management.
Really? I have never heard it put that way.
The first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself.
God will never allow growth where there is no management.
Wow, wow, wow.
So instead of praying for things from God, pray for the management ability.
Everything I tell you is true. Everything I open my mouth and I say is correct because heaven directs me on what to say. Eligwe, heaven will tell me and I will tell you it will come to pass in front of your eyes, not behind you. You will see it happening.
God will withhold things from you if you cannot manage them.
When you look at the facts that something around 1 million people perished as a result of the actions of the British and Russian and Nigerian federal governments.
Vis-a-vis what we see in Nigeria, which is truly not, it should not be surprising. Look, what's happening in Nigeria is barbarous. It's horrible. I mean, it's complete madness, yet it's not a priority. The United States unilaterally could do almost anything it needs to do. It would be a long-term effort, but it could be done. And the United States has the capability. All the elements of power, we have those.
So why not?
It's not a priority. That's the problem. We are committed elsewhere in the world. Black West Africa is not a priority.
Anybody who changes his principles depending on whom he is dealing, that is not a man who can lead a nation.
No way. When the time comes, it's okay. What stupid country is this? So when it's this, you try somebody's secret? When you like, you try a secret? When you like, it's in public? What stupid country is that? What stupid country is that, I ask you? When you like, you try in secret. When you like, you try in private. They are killing my people. They are killing my people. They are killing AFFIRS. They are killing my people. After killing my people, you tell me what to tell in secret? The person is mad. Completely mad. Tell Buhari, that's what I said. That he is mad. He cannot join me. He cannot join me. He's a madman. There's a contempt of court proceedings here. Contempt of court. They don't obey court order. They don't obey court order. You're telling me secret prayer. Is the person mad?
I, Nnamdi Kanu, will sacrifice anything sacrificable to make sure that Biafra comes.
We hereby declare no election, no 2023 general election in Biafraland. This no election in Biafraland has been activated. We are going to make it a task that must be done by every Biafran. All measures will be put in place to make sure the adequate civil disobedience is implemented to stop the election in Biafraland.
Do you know the meaning of discovery? It means to bring to light something that is buried on the ground. If you can accept that, then you know that Biafra is coming. There is nothing man can do about it. It's too late. Way, way too late. The countdown has begun.
Greetings to you all, Biafrans, Oduduwa people, lovers of freedom, all over the nations of the world. Good to have you today. I'm excited because I know we're going home very soon. Thank you, Mrs. Adazayan. Yes, I missed you guys yesterday. I couldn't actually come up because I was actually looking for a particular video I needed to broadcast, but it came, it didn't, I had it, but I didn't know where I kept it until I had to look for it. It was sent to me later and I had to get it. So I have to do the broadcast today. I want to welcome you all from wherever you're watching. I appreciate you guys because it's really, you know, wonderful that we have kept fit and strong all this while. And the most important thing here is that we have not disappointed Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, even if we know that many of our people have disappointed him, as we promised that we will not disappoint him. But most people have disappointed him, that somebody like him would sacrifice everything about himself to see that he keeps faith with what he's promised to Biafrans. But yet, many people have disappointed him and decided to go for election rather than to go for what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu stands for and what he has sacrificed for. But first, before we go into all those details, I want to thank you all for joining. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and this is Biafra Global Network. Today is the Tide of Affairs program, where we'll be talking about several situations and affairs and activities all over the zoo called Nigeria. And yes, today is the 22nd day of February 2023. This is the eve to the total lockdown of Biafraland. I guess every Biafran is ready. We don't care what happens in Nigeria. It is not our interest what happens in Nigeria, because I know Oduduwa people are not ready to be called Nigerians anymore. But anyways, we don't care what happens in Nigeria. We are concerned about what happens in Biafraland. And if other parts, other nations will take cue from us and decide what they want. We have decided that there will be no election in Biafraland. It is a total lockdown in Biafraland. From tomorrow, we are going to be locking down Biafraland. We are locking it down and totally. Now we're going to know that it's just interesting that Nigeria has come to an end, and it's the earlier these guys know it, the better for them. You know, one particular you know, post has just been making me smile here because I don't know. You know, sometimes they you know, these Fulanis, they know how to utilize Takia very well to deceive people as a deceit. You know, and anyways, whatever his motive is, here is Galadima. Alhaji Galadima, you know, saying, how did we get here? Nigeria is boiling now beyond control, prepared to explode. This is something that could have been achieved peacefully had it been that there is, you know, that those also, yes, those in authority listened to us. What's that? I'm not seeing it. It's too tiny here. Release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on court orders. Okay, I am about to leave Nigeria because of danger. Now he tweeted this you know, I've just visible. Anytime I remember this stuff, I just smile. You know, these Fulanese, you know, it's so unfortunate. Today we're going to be looking extensively on some things that we want to bring to the notice of those people who are still one Nigerianists, you know, and who also are still talking about Nigeria. We want to make them understand something, that Nigeria is never meant to work. Nigeria is actually a design to destroy. And you have to, the earlier we know this, the better for us. And we are giving those people who are still talking about election one more opportunity. Some of them will end up dying tomorrow, because they would want to defy the sit at home, and then the Nigerian agents will deal with them, and then they will go to their ancestors. Yeah, I want to recognize you as you're watching, because we're going to be talking a lot of things today. We're going to be revealing so many important messages today to you. Today is the eve of the lockdown, and in less than 24 hours, lockdown begins. We want to warn you, stay indoors. Don't go out. It's, you see the way we're talking about it calmly and trying to get you to understand as a Nigerian, because as a Nigerian, it's always a problem for you to reason well. So we're talking to Nigerians, and not Biafrans now. I'm talking to Nigerians, not Oduduwa people. I'm talking to Nigerians, not Middle Belt people. I'm talking to Nigerians, but especially in the aspect of Biafra, we're talking to Nigerians who have made themselves very stubborn. Those Biafrans who say they are Nigerians and they want to keep fit with Nigeria, and they don't want to listen. We are telling you now, don't go out. Tell your family members to stay indoors. Tell your people to stay indoors. Don't go out, or else you have yourself to blame. Maybe tomorrow is the day you're going to see your ancestors. I don't know. But stay indoors and just wait. Just stay there and wait and see how Biafra is restored. Remember, we have a few days to go and Biafra will be restored. Now, I want to thank you all who are bringing your messages. As your messages come in, let me just read briefly before I go into the exposition today. It's going to be powerful today. I'm going to be revealing some stuff to Nigerians, and especially even to other people too who are not Nigerians, for us to know all of this stuff and teach other people. Some of you might know the intentions, but of course, we know that we have to still keep talking about these things. I'll play some videos. I'm going to play about 3 or 4 videos today to help with the broadcast, because today is the eve of the lockdown. So there are so many things that one would have to say. Simon Ekpa will be coming up later in the day. I think later in the evening, maybe 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Biafra time. If he comes in 7 p.m. Biafra time, then I'm going to just round off the broadcast here, and then in 2 hours, so that this is past 5 Biafra time, and so I have less than 2 hours to do what I have to do so that we can prepare for his broadcast also, because today is the eve of the lockdown. So we expect to hear from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to talk to us as the spokesperson of Biafra, and of course we know what next to do. Noelin, thank you for your message. You said hi to me. Thank you. Hi to you also, Onyeka. Onwuka Tony, thank you. Onwuka Tony, it's been a while. Good to have you again. Good evening, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. All hail Biafra. Thank you so much, my brother, Onwuka Tony. Good evening, Mr. Kale. Thanks for the great work and for keeping on. We are indeed not fighting to gain positions, but to be free and survive in a world where most people hate us. Emmanuel AFFIRS, it's been a long time. I have your message here. Good to have you again today. Onwuka Tony says from Free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Kano, I stand with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. No election in Biafraland, and from tomorrow it is certain no election in Biafraland. We are not going back. I will be giving you extensive information today. Please get yourself ready and get yourself ready for today's analysis. Thank you so much. Chiebuka, thank you. All hail Biafra and all hail Biafra. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Brother Kelechi. Day one. Thank you so much, man. Good to have you here at Zion. Thank you. Thank you. We missed you yesterday. Yes, I missed you guys yesterday also. I just had that problems, which I talked about. And of course, I've got it to the Christian Chinedu Ibe. Good day, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You are welcome. Thank you so much. You're welcome to Christian. I appreciate you. You are so much appreciated. Thank you so much, Mrs. Adazion. Thank you for that. Anete Mwizu. Wow, this is the first time I'm seeing a message from this name. Good to have you, Anete. Anete is this should be from the Calabar area also. And Anete also. Oh, well. Biafran's freedom is not negotiable. No election in Biafraland. Disintegration of Nigeria is the only solution, because Nigeria is no more safe for human cohabitation, and that's true. And in fact, aside that, we cannot stay with killers and marauders and evil people. No, we can't stay. We don't have the same understanding. We don't have the same lifestyle. We don't have anything that is the same. So we can't stay together. It's not happening anywhere in the world. Our case cannot be different, and Britain cannot force us to have their own decisions on us. No, it's not possible. In this generation, it's not possible. Stella Ozuka says, good evening. Good evening to you, Stella, too. Thank you. Stella Ozuka, Kelechi Biko, have you listened to one Lisa Kanu talking a lot of trash on Sit at Home? You guys should just ignore these guys. They are just trying to be relevant. Just leave them. And Lisa is one of them. And Lisa Kanu is one of them. Leave those guys. They are just They're just the sit at home is going to hold. So whatever they say, the international community knows how sit at home is going to hold. Even Nigeria itself knows sit at home is good. So is it Lisa and Co that will stop it? Leave them to talk. They need viewers. You know, they need more viewers on their stuff. So just leave them to keep talking. You guys should not hype them. When you hype them, it makes them look relevant. When you try to begin to talk about them, it makes them look like they are gaining grounds, and it's not admissible in this time, you know. And so leave those ones to keep talking as we keep doing what we're doing. If they have to, if she's in Biafraland, let her come out and from tomorrow, or let her tell her family members if she's a Biafran to, of course, she should be a Biafran by her name. So let her tell her family members to come out tomorrow, and then we'll know whether there'll be sit at home or not tomorrow. Dano Gumbiade, my Oduduwa sister. Thank you so much, Mazi Kelechi. Welcome to the program. God bless you all. IPB Autopilot. Almighty God is your strength always. He said, thank you so much, my sister. Good to have you. It is all Takia. Yes, it is Takia, you know, telling us he's running out now. Nigeria, they should have released Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It's a tactical way of trying to win the emotions of the people, so that they can say, oh, these people really are interested in, you know, maybe let's go to vote. Let's go to cast our vote. Maybe after the vote, they will want to release him. That's a stupidity, man. You see, it's funny. It's funny, Chukwu Kadibia, thank you for joining. You know, they reason like their cow, so they think that any narrative can sell. You know, Afro Emmanuel says, thank God, say we don't vacate work today, hence can sit at home. Good. Thank you so much, my brother. Blessing Chukwu says, we are not going back to Egypt. Yes. Which Nigeria? Which is Nigeria, of course. Backing down for no election in Biafraland. Yes. We are not going back to Egypt. Anette says Nigeria is a big scam and injustice. Why is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu still in the dungeon still now? Nigeria is a cause, a waste, and too bloody. The dangerous diversity is too horrible, and that's the truth. So I'm going to stop here for the message for now. Then I'll read the rest later. Now, Galadima is posting that stuff, which we know that he is also part of the major decision makers in the zoo. He is one of the major decision makers in the zoo, yet he's coming to make us think that he is not against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, as if he has been talking about releasing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and as if the releasing of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is priority to him. And of course, we know it's not, because I'm going to play a particular video of one Garba, one Boko Haram, apologist, who is actually making himself too relevant by talking anyhow on Twitter and then going anywhere to talk. I'm going to play that particular video. I want you to understand that these people are die-hard people. They are killers. And so when they come out with this kind of narrative, he's traveling out of Nigeria, what does it mean? They believe they have them. They are sending military to Biafraland, and he wants to run out. He wants to go and safeguard himself and his family. But the truth about it is that they all are in this game together. Galadima is from Mauritania, and he's also a strong Fulani man who has been, who is one of the sponsors of Fulani Boko Haram, and there are different militia groups. Different, about 8 of them or so of them that are in the zoo called Nigeria, trying to take other people's property and other people's land. But before we go on in this matter, we're going to be looking extensively into some facts so that you must understand. But before we go on, I want you to understand this. The greatest day of your life is that day that you discover that you are ignorant, or you have been ignorant. I'm talking to one Nigerianist now, especially in the context of what we're doing now. The greatest day of your life is the day you discover that you are ignorant. You have been ignorant of things that have made you think that Nigeria is workable. The greatest day in your life, and this is a continuum, because every day or every moment we realize, we begin to discover things. And at that point in time, every moment, the greatest moment, let me just put it this way, the greatest moment in your life is that moment you discover that you are ignorant. And the greatest virtue, of the spirit that you can possess is the spirit of humility, to accept the fact that you have been ignorant and that you need to accept and believe that you have been ignorant, and then take action towards that ignorance. And the greatest day or the greatest event of your life is that day that you begin to practically apply the concept of the knowledge you have discovered or acquired in the process of discovering that you are ignorant, practically applying it to change the narrative of the facts and the things that you have been doing based on the fact that you have come to realize that you have been ignorant. So the greatest day of your life is the day you discover you're ignorant. The greatest, virtue you can possess is to have that humility to believe that you have been ignorant and accept the fact that you were ignorant. And then the greatest event is that activity or that practical application of knowledge at that point when you realize that you've been ignorant. And this is a continuum, you remember, as I said, because it's not just static, it's continuum. It applies in all aspects of our lives, in everything we do. So it is normal, it is okay to be ignorant. But the day you realize that you've been ignorant, it helps you. In fact, it saves you from so much, because at that point in time, you gain wisdom or knowledge towards a particular cause. And then the application of that knowledge is the virtue to accept. That's the greatest virtue, the humility. You can accept the fact that you have been ignorant. And then at that point in time of ignorance, you now have that great ability, of practical understanding, or the greatest events that would happen by practically applying the context or the notion of that knowledge that you have gained based on the fact that you have discovered your ignorance. And now you have to work on it and work against it and make sure that you now begin to practically apply the wisdom that goes with realizing your ignorance. And this is very, very important. Now, I want to make what Nigerians understand. Before we go into the analysis, I want to make you understand something. That being independent in the context of Nigeria doesn't mean freedom. In the context of Nigeria, independence never meant freedom. Independence was a ceremonial program where the Queen of England would just hand over a kind of thing to one Fulani man and tell you that you have now going to become the one you have now become the ones who are going to rule this contraption for us or govern this contraption for us on our behalf as proxy agent. So you are now going to stand where we should have stood so that we can use it as a means of Takia. People will feel that we are no more there. And so we are no more there, thinking that you guys have now taken control. But who is in control here? The Fulanis. They are not indigenous to the land. They are not indigenous to the nations, but they were given the mandate to rule. That is not freedom. That is never freedom. It is only a program, a ceremonial program called independence. In fact, that word independence does not have a meaning in the context of that ceremony. The word independence here is only a word that signalizes a ceremony that was held where a proxy agent or a proxy tribe was handed over the power to control the indigenous people based on the fact that they have been able to defeat the Hausa nation. They were now given the mandate to, continue the defeat and take over the land and control on behalf of the British. So freedom is not relative to this sham ceremonial independence. The ceremonial independence is the name of the program that was that was held on 1st of October 1960. It is not freedom. It is not in the true word of the word independence. It is only the name of the program. The name of the program is called Independence Anniversary Celebration. That is the name of the program. It doesn't mean that it is actually an independence, program or a freedom mandate. No, it is only the name of the program because you were actually not independent. You were actually given to a proxy group or a tribe to control you. So one Nigerianist should understand that whenever you keep on talking about that entity that have been given that have been handed over to the Fulanis to control, you are only promoting the cause of your slavery that is tagged independence. And that is why we must understand this in the way they are. Now, I want to ask this. Somebody was saying it on BBC, today, and I was listening to the person was saying that those who have voted, that they should do the right thing. they have to do what is right. You know, those who have voted should do what is right. And I begin to wonder, all these years, we have been seeing these guys come up, you know, say they have been voted. Of course, we know they are not voted. They are nominated or they are appointed by the caliph or the caliphate that is in charge of the contraption called Nigeria to actually carry out an activity. And they say this, they said, how can, the person was talking, BBC, one thing about this BBC and other media outlets is this, since morning, they have been talking about the election, interviewing people. But you know that many things have happened today in Biafraland. Lots of things, lots of attacks, lots of things have happened. They have never mentioned any of the attacks. The attacks yesterday, 2 days ago, BBC today have not mentioned any of the attacks. They keep talking about the election. All they were just doing today is election. And along the line, they interviewed somebody, and the person was talking about they were looking at the religious aspect of it today, and they were, you were hearing the voice of so-called pastors, who were telling the members that if you don't vote, then you are not a citizen. You have not shown that you are a very good citizen. And I begin to wonder who talks to these people who call themselves pastors. How can people go and put themselves under this kind of people who don't even know their left from right, who call themselves pastors? Which God speaks to them? Because God does not put anybody under slavery. So which God speaks to them? Now, if you call someone who doesn't know his left from his right is pastor or a shepherd over you, because the word pastor means shepherd, then I wonder what your life is. You're just in serious trouble. Anyways, that's not the topic for today. Now, along the line, they were interviewing this particular person, and she was saying that and those who have voted in Nigeria, of course, we know they are not voted, should do what is right. And my question is this: how can you do what is right under an oath into what is wrong? How can you do what is right under an oath into what is wrong when you are swearing to an oath on what is wrong? You are swearing an oath to keep what is wrong, which is the Constitution. You are swearing an oath to defend what is wrong. Then how do you expect someone who is swearing an oath to defend what is wrong to do the right? You see, it's crazy, because sometimes we begin to wonder how our people reason. But anyways, that is what the narrative that BBC want to sell, they want to give to the people. She came, and what they were doing is just looking for people who are going to promote the concept of the election and talk about the election. And what they were doing is just make sure they keep talking about the election, because BBC is actually the agent of existing for about 90 years now, created by the British government to sell the narrative of their propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, and to subdue Africa. So it has been like that for years. It has been like that consistently. So we are not surprised at that. But now I want to ask that my sister, she's my sister anyways, even if she's a Nigerian, because as being a Nigerian, she doesn't have that thinking faculty rightly positioned. Her thinking faculty has been distorted by some anomalies, and some stuff. And so she is telling those who are voted, whereas she doesn't even know that they are not voted in the first place. And she's saying that those who have voted should do the right thing. And I'm asking her that how can you do the right thing under an oath into what is wrong? How can you swear an oath to something that is completely wrong, and you are expecting someone who swears an oath to a wrong to do the right thing? Because the oath is to what is wrong, which means that doing what is wrong is supposed to be extended into action or carried out in action, because what you swore an oath to is what is wrong. So what you have to do is what is wrong. So saying that those who have voted should do, you see, BBC want to say that narrative so that people will always think that the solution is always in the context of election. The solution is always in the context of election. They just will keep selling it. Now, my question now to the British government is this: for those one Nigerians, the purpose why I'm recapping all of this stuff is for the one Nigerians. Before I go into the major publication for today or broadcast for today, now let me ask this one Nigerianist, or let me ask the British government. This one Nigerianist hear this: who is a threat to peace? Biafrans who are just living in their land and wanting to survive, and who are even living all over the nations of the world, doing their businesses and going about their normal businesses. They are living all over the nations of the world. There's no nation of this world you go, you won't find a Biafran. Who are dangerous, or who are a terrorist group, or who are those who are a threat to peace? Biafrans who are normally going to their business, or the Fulanis who are trying to conquer people, take their land, take their properties, take what belongs to them. Having also the militias and the terrorist groups, terrorist organizations that even the international community recognizes. So now, why now do you want to promote a particular concept or a particular template that the Fulanis are in control of, knowing that they are the originators of the terrorist organizations in the Nigeria contraption? At the same time, have so much proven so much all over this and the times and all of that, proven that they are actually dangerous to indigenous people. Who is a threat to peace? I'm linking this to the appeal of the United Nations. Now, why do you find a people who are a threat to peace controlling a particular structure that is designed by Britain, and yet you refuse to take that structure away and take those things from the hands of these people, so that the indigenous nations, whom you know are peace-loving people, should just stay on their own and survive? Now, doesn't that tell you, those of you who are one Nigerianists, that there is a reason why Fulani is allowed to thrive? Even if it is obvious that they are terrorists or they are dangerous to the indigenous people. So threat now, it is threat now in the definition of Britain is not threat to the nation of Britain, but threat to those who pose a problem to British ability to steal the resources of indigenous people. So when they talk about threats to peace, they see Biafrans as a threat, because the threat here is about their ability to steal. As long as they are not having access to steal our resources, we are a threat to them. But as long as the Fulanis are a threat to us, so that by threatening us and putting us in danger, in harm's way, they, British people, can steal our resources, the Fulanis are not a threat. So the threat issue here now, the threat issue here now, and the peace issue that the United Nations is talking about, is not about the indigenous people being under threat, whether under Fulani or otherwise, but the fact here that they might not have access to stealing our resources if we are not subdued by their agents. Now, look at it all this time. For instance, let me give you an instance. Osama bin Laden was trained by the American forces because they needed him to help. You know, when they want to do their dirty jobs, they don't do it by themselves. They get those people they know that can do it very well. The Arab, terrorists and the Fulanis. These are the kinds of people who have their hearts at their back, whose hearts are stone. So they know that these guys are terrible. So they reserve them for their dirty jobs. So now we see this in the context of what is happening, that the Nigeria contraption is not a threat to indigenous and to the British, because it is not a threat to the British. You know why? As long as the threat to Britain is by the indigenous people not allowing Britain to take oil or take their resources, then there is a serious threat issue to the British sustenance or the British program of stealing. But if that threat is about the indigenous people, then what UN would have done easily is that it would have just dissolved Nigeria and allow indigenous people to go. But because the threats they are talking about has nothing to do with indigenous people, but their program of stealing. So they know that if indigenous people continue or are able to sustain their own, their own freedom or take their own freedom, it will be a threat to them. So it becomes a big problem. So the threat here now is about indigenous people taking control. If indigenous people are allowed to take control then there's a threat to the British nation. That's what it means. So when they're calling for ideas, they're calling for ideas on how they can keep the program of stealing our resources and sustaining it so that they can disrupt the threats that we pose if we get our freedom. That is the program. That's what the program is all about. So we should understand this thing in the context of all of this. We should understand this in the context of this. I'm seeing some messages here, but I'm going to go to the messages here. You know, somebody is saying go to Abuja and demand MNK release, not on social media. Can you imagine this idiot? People are funny. People are funny. Anyways, they're not important to us. We know that we are winning. So now, based on this, now we understand where the threat is. So now the indigenous people now are a threat to Britain, not Fulanese. Even if Fulanese are terrorists, which we know because they are the ones who have created the terrorist organizations. They're the ones promoting terrorism. They're the ones controlling, using the proxy and the name Nigeria and as proxy instruments in the hands of the British to control indigenous people. They are not a threat to the British, but it is the indigenous people who are a threat, because if we get our freedom, we become a threat to them stealing our oil and all of that. Now, the foreign media keep talking about election. Nobody's talking about referendum. Now, if you look at it, you'll discover that throughout today, most of these international media platforms have been talking about election. None of them have talked about referendum. They know that majority of the Biafrans are talking about referendum, yet none of them is mentioning it. They are only talking about election, election, election. What does that tell you, a one Nigerian? That tells you that the only thing that they are concerned about is your slavery, is for you to continue as a slave. That is the only thing. I don't know how many of you listen to the, this. Don't know how many of you listen to CNN or Al Jazeera or any of these media platforms today. They were only talking about election, election. But yet people are clamoring for a referendum. They were not talking about it. Why? Ask yourself a simple question. You, one Nigerian, who is thinking about voting on Saturday. I'm asking you this question because I'm making this broadcast for you so that you can get wisdom and your thinking faculty can be resuscitated so that you can leave the realm of being a Nigerian and become an intellectual. Now, why are they not talking about those who are asking for referendum? Why are they only talking about looking at the side of only those who are talking about election? Ask yourself that question. That tells you that there's something underneath. There's something that is, there's something that is not favorable to you. There's something about referendum that is not going to favor them. There's something about referendum that is not nice to them, that would actually make them not benefit something. It's about benefits, because you can't come to my territory and we are fighting. Two people are fighting, or you go to a place, you go to a house where a husband and wife is fighting, and you just enter there because you like the husband. You start supporting the husband. No, you are going. If you truly want peace, what you do is you say, the wife is saying this, the husband is saying this. Then you look at the things constructively. Now, as media houses and all of that, you have your agents everywhere. They are all over Biafraland. They are all over, they are all over, the zoo, the contraption called Nigeria. And they are seeing the protests. They are seeing what people are doing. They are seeing the program and everything that we're doing. Yet, in your reportage, you are not talking about the other side, the other camp, who is talking about referendum. Why are you not talking about the other camp that is talking about referendum? Why are you talking about only the camp that is talking about election? And you keep interviewing people based on election only. Ask yourself that question. Everybody who truly is reasonable should ask themselves this question. You know why? Because referendum does not favor them. Referendum will not favor the British government. Referendum will make us decide to become a threat to British stealing program. So if we get the referendum, Britain will not have access to stealing our resources anymore. So they don't need to talk about referendum on their media platforms. All they need to talk about is election, so that it will keep ringing on your mind: election, 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 election. And you will not look at that part of it that says referendum, referendum. So because the more you keep thinking about one thing, do you know that when you keep telling yourself one particular thing over and over, before you know it, you begin to believe, even if it's a lie, you begin to believe in it. So BBC and all these media platforms were created to keep telling you that same lie over and over and over and over. And that is why you can find an average pastor in the zoo, an average so-called pastor, because the word pastor means shepherd, and no shepherd would do this to its flock. That is why you can find them talking about election in their so-called ministries. That is why you can find them go on the streets and asking people questions. What about the election? What do you expect? What do you expect to happen in this election? And I'm asking that lady who was talking on BBC today, and I'm asking her today, if you say those who have voted should do the right thing, how do you expect them to do the right thing on a wrong oath taken? When you take oath on something wrong, when you take the wrong oath, how can you do the right thing? Because you are swearing an oath on something that is wrong. The structure is wrong. The constitution is wrong. So you are swearing an oath on it. How then do you expect to do the right thing? That's it here. So now let's go forward. Now I want to ask you guys, because you see, the only way they have sold these things over and over and over in our minds, as I told you, that when you keep telling yourself one particular thing over and over and over, one time you begin to believe it, even if that thing is a wrong narrative. Before you know it, you begin to believe it. Now let me ask you a question. Why is it that China, Russia, Ukraine, and all these nations don't bear names like James, like Kennedy, like Johnson, like Jane Francis, and all of these names? Why do they bear names like Zelensky, Putin, and all those their names? Ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that question. Why would China bear the name like Jungji or Xu Jinping or Jinping, or what's the name of that president? Xi Jinping, or why do they bear such kinds of names? Why don't he call himself Jonathan? Ask yourself that question. You know why? The name you bear has a way of affecting your psyche towards how you reason and how you see yourself. So because we see ourselves as slaves of the British, we so much admire everything about them that even our names are tilting towards them, so that we only hold on to what they give to us and think that whatever they tell us is more important than whatever we are and whatever we have. That is why in our land, you see that people are chasing after anything, including what they buy. If it is locally made, no. If it is foreign made, wow. If it is from Britain, if it is from Mexico, if it is from Italy, if it's from America, great. You know why? They have stolen our identity, and so we don't reason well for what it should be ours. We can't even reason well. The first method, or the first precept, or the first avenue to freedom is to first identify who you are. Self-identity is the first precept to freedom. If you don't identify who you are, you can never even know what you are not. So first, you must know who you are so that you can know what you are not. Once you identify that you are a Biafran, you will know that you are not a Nigerian. And once you identify the fact that you are not a Nigerian, you will know that you are not British. They don't bear names like Ambrose. Don't kill me. You see, that is what I'm talking to myself here too. Because you know why? I was born and they gave me names. They gave me names. Innocently, I took the names. Now I begin to discover that I am not Harry, that I am not Ambrose. I am Kelechi, and my surname is not Ambrose. But because for record purposes, based on the fact that all over my records, I am known as Kelechi Ambrose or Harry Ambrose. So I have to change this narrative. That is why I'm talking to myself and talking to you also. We have been mentally enslaved so that we have lost our identity, swallowed by the concept or the narrative of the British expression and overwhelming aura over us. We must come to the fact, once Biafra comes, the names I'm going to put in my document as a Biafran Ambrose will not be there. Because I've come to realize that I am a Biafran. Zelensky, or whatever his name is, I can't even pronounce it well, is a Ukrainian Putin is a Russian. None of them bear, go to their land. None of them bear James. None of them bear Harry. None of them bear Ambrose. None of them bear whatever name, those sweet names we want to call ourselves. None of them bear those names. But here we are. So look at our names. Almost all our names, and some of you will say it's a baptismal name. Oh, Lord have mercy. That is an identity they are giving to you to distort your mind from reality of who you are. The moment you get to know who you are, you would know that you are not a Nigerian. You will know what you are not. And that is what Britain don't want you to achieve. They don't want us to know who we are. So they name us so that through our name, we can still connect to that slavery. We can still connect to them. We can still hold on to them. Why is a Chinese? After all, Britain also colonized China. Am I not correct? Why are Chinese not bearing Johnson and Frog Bench and Frog Stool and what all those names? Why are they not bearing those names? Why are they bearing Xi Jinping? Xi Jinping, or how is that name pronounced? Why are they bearing all those names? Because they have discovered that once they lose identity of who they are, through even name is the cynosure of who you are, your name. That is why when the angel came to Mary, said his name will be called Emmanuel, meaning God with us. That name is significant because the first identity to who you are is your name. And the first identification to how you see yourself is your name. And your name poses and reveals much of your status because name defines what you are. For instance, when you see a cow, when you go to, I told you the other day that when you go to marketplaces, you know what they do? They mark, those who are selling yam, if they are together, they mark the yam. This one gives the yam a U sign. Sorry, the other one gives the yam an O sign. The other one gives the yam another sign. All these signs are meant for identification. Your name is your identification. Once you bear Johnson, you have just told yourself, psychologically, you have defeated yourself. And psychologically, you have been programmed to believe that you are owned by somebody. So the British name you, and that name is the stigma or that sign that you write on that yam. That is what it is. That is what it is. I'm going to read the messages later. So I just want to give out all these messages. Now, because they know what names, that is what is wrong with us. That is why you can find people today everywhere. Most people will be saying, we want to vote. We want to vote. We love Nigeria. We are Nigerians. You know why? In the first place, they have lost their identity. Now, Prince Ezem was saying something. He posted it yesterday, and I said, wow, this is a lovely one. I didn't think in that direction. Now, Prince said something. He said, now, he cannot imagine him having a different country or identity of his source from his ancestors. My ancestors are not Nigerians, and now I'm a Nigerian. So how do I trace my ancestry? Because my grandfather is not a Nigerian. My grandfather is a Biafran or an Igbo. Now, it comes to my turn. I say I am a Nigerian. How do I marry it? How do I relate it to my grandfather? How do I trace my ancestry? Now, it is critical because you must understand that every ancestry is supposed to have continuity in the generations. That is why Jesus is called the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the son of David. He came from David. He didn't come from Egypt. He came from David, and David is a Hebrew. David is from Israel or Jacob, from Abraham. They trace the ancestry to that. Now you can imagine, now you go to Israel, you now say you are no more Israelis, you are now Shunamites. That means a child born now is called citizen of Shunam, and then the father is a citizen of Israel. How do you marry that? How do you arrange that? Now, I don't know why we are so intellectually lazy and we are too afraid to change a narrative that have been selling, the selling point of slavery, the selling point that have held us so long in this situation, that people can be clamoring to go to vote on Saturday and thinking of voting. Somebody can come to BBC and say, we are going to vote, and somebody can call himself a pastor and sit with his congregation. I don't know what that shows you, that they don't even hear from God. Because in the first place, God expects you to trace yourself, trace your ancestry, liken yourself or link yourself to your lineage. That is the narrative and how God have been doing it. In scripture, in the Bible, you discover that people are traced from their lineage. How can you trace your lineage in Nigeria? How can I trace my lineage, for instance, my generations? How can I trace it in Nigeria? Because in Nigeria, it started in 1914. So if by 1914 my great-grandfather was not a Nigerian, then from that 1914 to now, I now say I am a Nigerian. That means I am disconnected from my great-grandfather. I don't have my lineage. That means there's no continuity here. Britain has succeeded in making me decipher or cut off from that lineage, and my own generation, or for instance, or maybe my father's generation, now begins another generation under Nigeria. That is critical. That is madness. So you can imagine this. Now let's go straight. Let's go, because of time. Let's go to the things I want to talk about today. I'm going to be playing some particular videos. I'll try by tomorrow. I'm going to do more analysis on this narrative that I'm giving to you today. So that you can begin to understand that our names we have to begin to do some stuff about our names, and then we can hold on to that. Now I'm going to go to some narrative today, but first let me go to your messages so that I can go to the broadcast of today. Or maybe I should do everything about your the messages later. So let me go straight to the broadcast. Now, I want to make one Nigerianist understand this. Yesterday, you saw the video that came out about one Garba, or whatever his name is, coming to one Russian station, also I don't know whether it's Russian station or something, and talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and calling Mazi Nnamdi Kanu a terrorist. And yet we have Biafrans who have the guts to say they want to go into elections with these kinds of people. Now, this is somebody who is a diehard Boko Haram apologist, someone who loves Boko Haram to the core, and someone who was once a presidential aspirant. That's when I even remember that he's a presidential aspirant, when I watched that stuff. Now, he made this publication on international media platform, calling Mazi Nnamdi Kanu a terrorist. And now we have Biafrans who say they love Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who say Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is their leader. They want to join a terrorist who calls Mazi Nnamdi Kanu a terrorist. They want to join him in participating in an election, to vote for a Fulani or a Fulani, slave, to become a president for themselves. Now, let me tell you something. I'll give you an analysis through the video. But first, let me play that video of that man calling Mazi Nnamdi Kanu a terrorist. And I want those one Nigerianists, especially Biafrans who are one Nigerianists, and Oduduwa people, if you want to also stop the election in your land, you should try and fight hard to do that, because it is very, very important. Because you shouldn't go out to vote. You can sit in your house. If you want Oduduwa nation, sit in your house. Now, I'm going to play this video, and then I'm going to play the next video that shows you that saying that the Northwest have Kanu and all the Northwest region have now come to APC. And now I'm going to give you an explanation, a vivid explanation, insight into what you should understand the game that is being played. Because if you don't understand these things, I am doing this because of one Nigerianist. For those who are still thinking of going for elections or going to vote by the end of the week, that is on Saturday, those who are thinking of that. So watch this.
All right, let's take this further here on RT International. Now crossing live to former Nigerian presidential contender Adamu Garba, joining us live here on RT International. Great to see you today. A very warm welcome to you. You've been listening to the story here on RT. I know you know the story. I mean, just briefly, this guy is Simon Ekpa, born in 1985. They say he's a Nigerian-Finnish lawyer and a political activist. He's accused of essentially running a separatist movement from his home in Finland. And Nigeria has demanded that Finland take measures against this activist. Why does the government see the activist as a threat, Adamu?
Because what the activist is building on is something that started since 1966 in Nigeria, when we had the first civilian war that is called Biafran War, when some generals in that area decided to want to secede. Then a civil war was ensured, and suddenly there was unity. But most recently, one man that was termed and...
Now you heard him. He said a civil war was ensured. and then suddenly there was unity. Now you see the vague picture, the blood picture he's trying to paint on that Russia media platform. You know, a blood picture that he's trying. Now you see, Russia was part of those who killed over 5 million Biafrans. Russia was part of them. Now you see Russia media playing that game again. Those of you who are saying that in Russia this, Russia that, you can see that these killers are not even sorry for what they have done. Now this man is saying on that platform, saying that they wanted to succeed, and then the civil war broke out. Who broke out the civil war? How did it broke out? He didn't narrate how it broke out. He didn't say how the civil war came about. He just went on to say that the civil war came and then suddenly there was unity. Which unity? Now ask yourself, now I don't know which unity are we talking about? When did unity come? Has there ever been unity in the contraption? But he said, and suddenly there was unity, and then somebody's unity, there have been unity. Then suddenly somebody comes from Finland. Now you see the way they cluster, you know, information, make it cluster it and give it a kind of interpretation that will suit their narrative. He said there was a civil war. He didn't tell you how the civil war began. He didn't tell you that it is Nigeria state that called civil war against people who are asking for what is their right, which is also part of the United Nations Charter. They said they are going because the agreement of what was agreed in Ebri, Ghana, was destroyed, was not carried out as agreed. And the man said, Yojuku said, and Biafran said, if you don't want to carry out that agreement, because that agreement helps us as a nation to stand. But if you don't want to go with that agreement, then we want to be on our own and we declare our nation. How does declaring our nation threaten your survival? And then you now attack us and kill 6 million of us. He never told the media platform how people were hungry, how Nigeria caused the blockade, the air and sea. Even the person asking him question didn't even say all of this. He was just concerned about giving a narrative that to suit what they are trying to sell. Now, he didn't talk about how they blocked the sea, the land, and the air so that people starved to death. He didn't talk about all those atrocities and the war crimes and the genocide and, you know, crime against humanity committed by the Nigerian nation. He just said unity. Suddenly there was unity. You can see how they cluster information and try to sell the wrong narrative to people and to the world. That is what the Takia program is all about. I'm going to play it again so that you can, I'll play this time around to a point where I need to say something. I'll say it again.
All right, let's take this further here on RT International. Now crossing live to former Nigerian presidential contender Adamu Garba joining us live here on RT International. Great to see you today. A very warm welcome to you. You've been listening to the story here on RT. I know you know the story. I mean, just briefly, this guy is Simon Ekpa, born in 1985. They say he's a Nigerian-Finnish lawyer and a political activist. He's accused of essentially running a separatist movement from his home in Finland. And Nigeria has demanded that Finland take measures against this activist. Why does the government see the activist as a threat, Adamu?
Because, you know, what the activist is building on is something that started since 1966 in Nigeria, when we had the first civilian war that is called Biafran War, when some generals in that area decided to want to secede. Then a civil war was ensured, and suddenly there was unity. But most recently, one man that was termed and adjudicated as a terrorist in Nigeria, who is currently serving in Nigerian jail, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, started the movement in the name of IPOB, that's Indigenous People of Biafra, who actualized the dream of that secession. He was tamed, jailed currently in Nigeria. And suddenly you now have this man who is sitting in Finland, was able.
Now you heard what he said there, that suddenly somebody in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now comes up and then raises a terrorist organization and now has been arrested and jailed in. You can imagine that narrative. This is someone who was extraordinarily renditioned. This is someone who was kidnapped by the Nigerian agents, tortured for 8 days. He never said all that. He never talked about the illegality. As long as it is done by the Nigeria agents or the Nigeria contraption to favor the narrative of slavery or the context of keeping that one Nigeria, the details of what has happened is not important. The facts are not important. The the notion is not important, whatever reason you give, as long as what is done by the Nigeria agents against anybody who tries to stop that selling point of Nigeria, it is not important. He never talked about the extraordinary rendition. He never talked about the kidnap. He never even told them that on the international platform, IPOB is not even a terrorist organization. He just tells you that IPOB is a terrorist organization, and that their terrorist leader was jailed. He just told you that he was jailed. He never even mentioned that their courts have said he should be released. He never mentioned all of that. He just wants to sell the narrative the way their Takia design and program. Look at him. Look at how he's looking. You know that this one is a terrorist. You know this one is a bloodsucker. You know this one is a human flesh eater. Look at him. You know that these people, look at him. He represents everything terror. Look at him. Look at him. Look at his cheek and everything. Look at his beards. He represents terror. He represents, you know, this is an evil person. Look at his eyes. Look into his eyes. I don't know whether you can. I don't know how you can look at somebody and you can tell some stuff. These are evil people. Look at the narrative he's selling here. Look at how he's painting it. Look at how he shapely tagged Mazi Nnamdi Kanu there. And just said he has been jailed, and as if he's just one common criminal or somebody who has committed a crime, when the courts have said, now look at them. You see, this is a place where you know that you know people should understand what Nigeria represents. Nigeria represents a criminal system. That is why when courts say something, the people can come out and say something else on media platforms, and nobody says anything about it. Now, in a sane society, will court give a verdict and say this man is acquitted or discharged? And yet, their so-called politicians or whoever they are will come to any media space to say that this person is jailed for terrorism. Now, when the courts have said that he is innocent and cannot be tried, this is how you know a place that is lawless. This is how you know a place that is ruled by Takia. This is how you know a place that is ruled by Sharia. Because the court that listen to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the conventional court. It's not the Sharia court. If the Sharia court had given their verdict, the verdict of the Sharia court is what the Nigeria agents, including this man, is talking about. You people should understand this. Sharia court is what governs Nigeria, but they have not said it so because they have not yet conquered your land. They are waiting to conquer your land so that they will now obviously tell you that now Sharia is the law. But the Sharia has been introduced in the constitution and is strongly in the constitution. And Takia, it is designed as a place to cover every other aspect of the constitution. So now the reason why they are carrying the narrative that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is this and all of that, is because in their Sharia template, he is already adjudged as that. So whatever you do in your normal common courts and conventional courts is not important. That is why this idiot will come here and say Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is organized a terrorist organization and was causing lots of trouble with that, and then he was jailed. You know why? Because in the Sharia system, he is already judged and he's already condemned. If you don't know, just know this now. And especially those one Nigerianists who don't have sense, because you can't have sense when you're a Nigerianist. You should understand that the reason why this man is making this statement is because he is making this statement under the auspices of the Sharia program that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist. That is why, since he made this broadcast, the Nigerian government have not come to say anything. Even the courts have not come to say, hey, this man, call him to order. Even the so-called politicians, all of them, even the campaigners, including Peter Obi and all of that, have not come to say, hey, you have made a blunder here. Who told you he's a criminal? The courts have said he is not. Why are you calling him a criminal? You know why? They can't say it because it is actually the program of the Sharia courts. The Sharia court has said it, even if you didn't hear it. So you must understand this in that regard. So when he's saying here that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist, he's actually talking or reiterating the verdict of the Sharia court. He has been judged. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have been judged already and concluded. The judgment has been passed under their Sharia program. But because the reason why the Sharia program have not come strongly out is because they have not conquered your land. They are waiting for that opportunity to conquer your land so that they can begin to now pronounce the Sharia judgment quickly, just like they're doing in Afghanistan. You just pronounce it. As soon as the Taliban took over, when they feel that they have not gained ground, they were still trying to be conventional. Didn't you notice it? They were still doing some stuff, allowing the girls to go to school, allowing some stuff, the women to work in the, in the NGOs, allowing some stuff. As soon as they gained ground, they came all out and began to execute the Sharia program to the core. That is the program. Once the Fulanis gain ground by conquering your land, which you want to give to them by going for election, automatically, once they gain ground, that is why they want somebody like Shetima to come in. If you don't know, I'm going to explain all of these details when I play the other video. Now, let me tell you, I'll give you the calculations. There are calculations into this. Let me play that video again one more time. I'll play it to the end this time around.
All right, let's take this further here on RT International. Now crossing live to former Nigerian presidential contender Adamu Garba joining us live here on RT International. Great to see you today. A very warm welcome to you. You've been listening to the story here on RT. I know you know the story. I mean, just briefly, this guy is Simon Ekpa, born in 1985. They say he's a Nigerian-Finnish lawyer and a political activist. He's accused of essentially running a separatist movement from his home in Finland. And Nigeria has demanded that Finland take measures against this activist. Why does the government see the activist as a threat, Adamu?
Because what the activist is building on is something that started since 1966 in Nigeria, when we had the first civilian war that is called Biafran War, when some generals in that area decided to want to secede. Then a civil war was ensured, and suddenly there was unity. But most recently, one man that was termed and adjudicated as a terrorist in Nigeria, who is currently serving in Nigerian jail, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, started the movement in the name of IPOB, that's Indigenous People of Biafra.
One man who is a terrorist, tagged a terrorist, and currently serving in Nigeria jail. That means he has been sentenced already by the Sharia court. He has been sentenced to serve in the jail. So what he is there now doing is that he's serving his jail term, which you don't know about. Where are all these Nigerianists? He is serving a jail term. That is what this guy is trying to tell you. That is what this terrorist is telling you. A terrorist sitting out there and an innocent man is inside, and he's telling you because of Sharia, he is not a terrorist. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist because he is not a Fulani, he's not an house, he's not an Islam, a Muslim, and he's also going against the program of Usman Danfodio by standing for his rights. So he's now the one tagged as terrorist, and he has been given the jail term. He's now serving his jail term. That is what this man is telling you right now. He says that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is serving his jail term. Did you hear him clearly? Did you hear him clearly? I'm just playing because I just decided to play it. And normally I don't like giving these kinds of people popularity, but I needed to play this so that the auspice of Christianity, who called me to tell me why am I fighting against Nigeria, that Nigeria cannot break, that nothing will happen. I want them to hear this because I know some of them are listening. Why would a man come out to say that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is serving his jail term? Is serving his jail term when the courts have already acquitted him and said he doesn't have a question to answer. You know why? The courts in Abuja is not the real court. The real court is in Sokoto, the Sultan's office. The real court is the Sharia court in Sultan's office. The order of the Sultan, the order of the Caliphate. That is the real court. They have already given their verdicts. They have already given their verdict. And Biafra reporter says, make this a program topic. Yes, I think I will make this a program. You're correct. I'll make this a program topic so that people can hear this. I'm going to go extensively on this. I think let me just play it once now for this time around, just once, and then I'll go to the next broadcast, explain the things I need to explain. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to take my time to explain this video very well in a special broadcast and target the name, that you just gave me that good idea. Now make this a program topic. Yes, you're correct. So I'm going to do that tomorrow, For now, let me just play it one more time, and then tomorrow we'll give more analysis on this, and then we will now look at how they have planned Nigeria to conquer you.
All right, let's take this further here on RT International. Now crossing live to former Nigerian presidential contender Adamu Garba joining us live here on RT International. Great to see you today. A very warm welcome to you. You've been listening to the story here on RT. I know you know the story. I mean, just briefly, this guy, Simon Ekpa, born in 1985. They say he's a Nigerian-Finnish lawyer and a political activist. He's accused of essentially running a separatist movement from his home in Finland. And Nigeria has demanded that Finland take measures against this activist. Why does the government see the activist as a threat, Adamu?
Because, you know, what the activist is building on is something that started since 1966 in Nigeria, when we had the first civilian war that is called Biafran War, when some generals in that area decided to want to secede. Then a civil war was ensured, and suddenly there was unity. But most recently, one man that was termed and adjudicated as a terrorist in Nigeria, who is currently serving in Nigerian jail, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, started the movement in the name of IPOB, that's Indigenous People of Biafra, to actualize the dream of that secession. He was tamed, jailed currently in Nigeria. And suddenly you now have this man who is sitting in Finland, was able to leverage on social media platforms to continue to stir violence and encourage killings and destruction in that part of the country that have known no peace for so long time. Someone never leveraged on social media. He lived in Finland, he paid Finnish tax, and do everything well in Finland, happily with his family, while causing trouble and making people here to be killing each other. When that happens again, he will carry the footages of the killings and publish on his social media handles.
But Mr. Garba, sorry, I mean, can I just jump in quickly? I mean, do you think this guy, Simon Ekpa, is working alone? Because there are some reports saying that he may have a sponsor, but that claim has not been substantiated. What do you think? I mean, are we talking about a guy on his own, or is he getting support from somewhere?
There is no way you will disconnect the wide-ranging network of this Biafra movement across the world. It is there. But one thing that's...
Now, if after this video you are still thinking of election and thinking of one Nigeria, then something is wrong with you. I'm going to talk about this extensively. There are so many things I need to say about this particular video and about this guy and about the narrative that the Nigeria contraption has created and formulated around Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, about the people, around the people of Biafra, and about your future as a Biafran and against you. So we're going to talk about that. Now let's go to the next video that I want to talk about today. That is the main reason why I want to talk about this, because of those who want to go for election. Now I want you to understand this. By now you should know that Peter Obi is not having a chance in the first place. Two, you should know that Peter Obi is just a British stooge to manipulate you into voting. I don't know when would you be wise? I don't know when you're going to be wise. But you should know this. But first, let me play this video, and then I'll give you my analysis from this point of view. There are two videos I'm going to play on this. But first, let me play this video, and then I'll link you back to the other video, which is about 17 minutes. That one is long. This one is about 1 minute plus or so. The other one is longer because it actually explains some things that I want to give to you from Shetima. So now let's listen to this video.
As a coalition of Labour Party, gubernatorial, senatorial and House of Representatives and House of Assembly members from the Northwest, chairmen and members of the Presidential Campaign Council, members of the Gubernatorial Campaign Council in Kanu and the Northwest, and zonal state coordinators, we have decided as a group unanimously to endorse the candidature of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We have also resolved to leverage our existing political structures to work on the mass mobilization of voters and swinging of votes to ensure his emergence as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2023 presidential election. By this decision, we have also made the firm decision that we have returned to the fold of the All Progressive Congress, the APC.
Yeah, Obioma Elekwechi says we can't hear you well. Kelechi, please check your internet. Please, can you confirm if you can't hear me? Because I don't want to say anything that you will not hear now. From now, I want to actually do an analysis. So please, if you can't hear me, let me know. So I know that you. I want to be heard clearly. So please, if you can't hear me, please let me know. I want to confirm. I want someone else to confirm that you can hear me. Please let someone else confirm that I can be heard. The COB will free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but when the court discharged him, Alenora Okoro, but when the court discharged him, an innocent obedient spoke against him, therefore supporting Nigeria. That is how confused they are. The audio is fine. The audio is fine. I think that's what Florence is trying to say. The audio is fine. It's fine. Please let somebody else confirm, because that's if no audio. Lekwachi says no audio. You are good. Okay, Alenora says I'm good. So I think Lekwachi, please go out and come in again so that you can hear me. I think that's where it is clear. Rodney says it's clear. It's okay. NS says it's okay. So it's okay, please. Amani also says it's okay. So please just go out and come in again so that audio is good. Alenora, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you. Now let's go into this analysis. I want those people who are talking about election and who are thinking of election to understand this. The two people, it is only two people that are the projection of the Fulanis for the election. Now, the two people are Atiku and Shetima. Now, let's look at it from this point of view from that video. Now, you see that video. That video gives you a vivid understanding. Thank you so much, guys. I can see it's clear, so we can go on from there. That video gives you a vivid understanding of the game that is being played here. One, remember in 2014, the game was this. The game plan was this. Tinubu was mobilized and given enough resources so that he galvanizes and to vote for Buhari. Belt and everyone around the north would also go for Buhari. And the sentiment also is that most Biafrans too were thinking of freedom and were thinking of, something changing for them, because they felt very dissatisfied with Jonathan, who is their brother, which the British demonized, America demonized, and even the Fulanis made sure that they committed atrocities that would make even the Biafrans to demonize their own brother. Good luck, Jonathan. So they committed those crimes and made sure they made the polity very, very ungovernable, so that Jonathan will be demonized by his own people. So somehow, Biafrans flooded towards Buhari. So in the end, Buhari was voted. In 2019, the next election, they know that Buhari has lost touch, because the people have come to see that Buhari is a danger to them. Even Biafrans know. Of course, Biafrans didn't really vote for Buhari in 2015. They were still voting for Jonathan. They massively voted for Jonathan, but you know that most of them were taken to the other camp, because our people like money and all of that. So they were deceived and bribed into that. Now, in 2019, our people came out massively and said they were going to vote for Atiku instead of Buhari, because Fulani will always present to you the two agents the two evils that you must just choose one, because you just want to stay. You just feel that Nigeria is a surviving ground. You must survive, and the next 4 years may be your opportunity, your miracle that you have been looking for. So they would always present to you the two people who you must choose, whether you like it or not, because they have used your pastors to make you believe that you don't have to leave Nigeria. Nigeria must survive. Nigeria, you keep praying for Nigeria. So by that mindset they have given to you through your churches and your religious programs, and of course in the mosque and the religious church area, or the ministries, they have made you believe that Nigeria is God's program and it is in God's hand. God is about doing something in Nigeria. They keep making you think of that by making you pray and pray and pray. Please, is it cracking? Let me know if it's cracking, please. Chuku Kadibia says cracking, please. But Obi says audio is good. Obi says I can hear you loud and clear. So please let me get on that message confirming they do same things and expect different results, because I don't want people to miss this part of this analysis here. Please, if it's cracking, let me know so that I can refresh. If it's not cracking, let me just go on straight so that I can make this analysis on time before Mazi Nnamdi comes up. I actually love lawlessness just because they are not stealing money now. That's why they are screaming for Obi. Yes, that's it. And because, Obi, because of the sentiment of tribal. Now, if we had our nation, are we going to be talking about tribal differences and all of that? We'll not talk about that. Go on. Okay. Eleonora says I should go on. Thank you so much. Now, so in 2019, people decided to go for Atiku because they presented two evils before you. So you must choose one of the evil. Mwigwe says, go on, my brother, it's clear, no cracking. All right, thank you so much. So, Chukadibia, check your system. Just check it. Now, they presented the two evils. Now, after that, we voted for Atiku. But of course, their program is being fulfilled through Buhari. The Buhari is already dead. So they already have a masked man, from about to do so then, but it's now good. Thank you so much, Eleonora, for that. It's not cracking. Stop interrupting. Okay, thank you so much, Money. Thank you so much. It's not cracking. So thank you. So now they keep making you pray. The thing is this: the religious angle or the churches, the so-called churches, are stabilizing. They are the stabilizers. They make you continue putting your mind on Nigeria. So the narrative is this: you keep praying and believing, and they tell you that God is about to do something in Nigeria. So they keep you believing in Nigeria, and then you'll be looking forward to an election. Maybe this is the next election that God will do that miracle. That has been the narrative. Now, the next thing now that happens is this. In this 2023, they have looked at it critically. Tinubu commands he has a strong influence in the Yoruba nation. And he was used greatly in 2014 to help them get the narrative and get the result. Now, they know that Tinubu still commands because he has his stooges everywhere. He has his men everywhere. So he still commands that great, influence in the Yoruba nation. So they see him as a good instrument. Now they attach somebody to him because they know that Tinubu is now a moving box. He's no more. His life is already getting off. He's just ending. He's just a moving box. He doesn't have the power and the willpower. In fact, he doesn't reason very effectively now. So they need somebody who is rugged. Remember, their Fulanization program is very important. Buhari has taken it to an extent, and those who ruled in the name of Buhari after he died also have taken it to an extent. So now they need somebody who is going to sell the narrative very quickly. Now they have looked at it very well. Hello, see Friday says it's cracking very well. It's cracking very well. Please make me confirm, please. I don't want this narrative to just go without people understanding or hearing what I'm saying. I'm seeing the network here full. So please, if you say it's cracking very well, please let somebody else confirm so that I can be sure. I can be sure that I'm not saying. Eleonora says the whole Tinubu him from behind. We need to shut him up. It's not cracking, Kevin. All right, thank you so much. Please, you guys, once it cracks or something, just go out and come in again so that you'll be sure that it's not you're coming out clearly. Okay, Moran TV. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. So now let's go on. Now they calculated it very well. Tinubu still holds that influence in the Yoruba land. It's not, please. Thank you so much, Stella. Tinubu still holds that ground very well. So the program here is this. Let's give Shetima to Tinubu now. Shetima is somebody who is a strong apologist to Boko Haram and the terrorists, one of the sponsors. And they know that he has a radical mindset. You remember what he discussed with Amosu Bukunle, the former governor of Ogun State. I will play that video, that audio. I'll play it out to you so that you can understand why Shetima was added to, or was given to Tinubu. Tinubu is somebody who is just a paper. He's just a paper. He's just there. He's a paper. But Shetima would be the main man. And because they need this Fulanization program to go fast, they need somebody like Shetima or Kwankwaso. But Shetima was put there. But now they know that Tinubu commands a great deal under the Yoruba nation. Shetima commands a great deal under the Hausa and Fulani nation. And in the north, generally, Shetima commands that. They can manipulate everything under that. So with Shetima and Tinubu, they are holding, they are holding the southwest and the north, to ransom. Now for Atiku, they know that Atiku has lost command in the Biafra nation because he doesn't have much followers in Biafra nation because of Obi. Because most of Biafrans, the few anyways, who are going for election are thinking of Obi based on the sentiment, tribal sentiment. You see, this tribal thing and this deceit is so strong. You know, it's so strong, but we're going to talk about that later. Now, they know that Obi has stolen some of Atiku's men or Atiku's henchmen, those who would want to vote for him, and they have divided Atiku's camp. In Yoruba land, Atiku does not have that strong ground anymore because of Tinubu's position. Because of that tribal sentiment, people are going for Tinubu. So Atiku is floating because even in the Hausa nation and the Fulani nation, he has a strong influence, but he doesn't have a strong influence in the Yoruba nation. And they need Yoruba nation. If they can have Yoruba nation and have the Hausa nation or the North and the West, it will be very, very good for them. They can succeed. Because that's what happened to them during Buhari's time. They didn't have much votes from the east or from the Biafraland, but they had very much votes from the west and from the north. So they were able to command that influence. So now they have seen that Tinubu holds that, even if Tinubu will be somebody they will waver, so use as Shetima to carry out the programs, which should be carried out very quickly to quickly colonize the whole nation of Biafra and the nation of Oduduwa. So, and the Middle Belt too. So now they know that with Tinubu, they have taken over the Yoruba nation. With Shetima, they have taken. Then what they need to do now is to now have an alliance with Atiku. They will give him a lot of contracts, a lot of resources, and everything they need, everything he needs, as usual, because it is all about the deal. They will give him everything that they need. He will now just allow everything go, and Tinubu and Shetima will come. That is why you saw this video. These guys are saying that they have now all gone to be dissolved into APC. The whole of the Northwest have been dissolved into APC. What does that mean? Tinubu is strategic for the Yoruba nation. Shetima is strategic for the North. And so they need the North and the West. Now, if you listen to Shetima's voice the other time, the calculation is right, because Shetima was saying that there is going to be an alliance under Buhari's government. There's going to be an alliance. Okay, let's see, Friday says it's from his end, so refresh. There's going to be an alliance between the Yoruba nation and the North, so that there can be this transaction, this transactional procedure that will favor the two regions, the North and the West. That was what Shetima was saying. Now I'm going to play the voice of Shetima so that you can get the details of what he said, and then link it to this video that I just played right now, talking about the alliance, talking about, going back, all of them going back to APC and dissolving into APC to control the narrative of taking over. Remember, Yorubas always think of Yoruba nation first before they think of their religion, before now they think of any other thing. That's how they are wired. An average Yoruba man first thinks about Yoruba nation and then thinks about his religion. So in the side of thinking about Yoruba nation first, Tinubu feels that part very well. Tinubu occupies that position very well. Tinubu fits that narrative very well. So when you talk about, tribalism, they have already embraced Tinubu because he's from their side. So they will vote him because he's a Yoruba man. Two, if you go by talking about religion, of course, most of the Yorubas, almost half of them are Muslims. So by that also, Tinubu fits in the narrative and gives that. So if by tribe, most of those who are Christians will vote for Tinubu, by religion, the half would vote for Tinubu too, because they believe in Islam. By tribe, most of Yorubas would vote for Tinubu. By religion, almost half would vote for Tinubu. So that's the program. So it means that they have conquered the West. Then when you come to the North, Shetima. Okay, Jano, I get it. Now, when it comes to the North, Shetima commands a great influence based on the fact that he's so loquacious and he talks anyhow, and he has shown them that he is ardent and very, he has become very popular in that regard. And based on the fact that APC is in control, they have strategically positioned it very well so that even the Middle Belt would have much vote for Shetima. So going by tribalistic approach, Shettima controls the north. Going by religion also, he controls the north. Even if the camp is divided between Atiku and Shettima in the north, it is normal. They know how to play their games because they know how to agree. The Fulanis know how to agree. All they need to do is to, compensate the other person very well, and he gives his own right to the other person. So if Tinubu and Shettima have taken over the Yoruba land, Yoruba tribe, Shettima also having the control of the north, they have won the election. Even the so-called Labour Party in the north has also been dissolved into the APC. So you see, even the man, the OB you are talking about, does not have a ground in Yoruba land because Tinubu has taken that ground. He doesn't have a ground in the north because even the whole of the northwest, I remember, they claim that they have 60% of the registered voters. They have claimed to you that their population is more than you because it has been rigged from time. Even Britain helped them to rig it. So right from time, the narrative is that they have more, even if they register their cows, their animals, their children, and all of that. Their voting population is more than you here. So automatically, they have won the grounds. And then when it comes to Biafraland, somebody like Tinubu and Shettima have already bribed those who like money in our land. So those ones who have been bribed will now go to vote for them. So automatically, Peter Obi has lost it. But you know why? All these things are working for the favor of Biafra. You know why? The people who stood for Obi would now revolt. But let's not go there in the first place. There will be no election in Biafraland. That's what we have said. So it stands. Now, but I want to make this one Nigerians understand that this their calculation of thinking that vote can always work. They need to come out, mobilize, and vote for one person. Does not work. Because you know why? This tribal structure is a very strong weapon when you have nations of diverse cultures coming together. So there will never be peace because that cultural difference will always create the diversity and will always cause that division. You cannot marry it. There's no way you can marry it. So the best way and the best bet is for everybody to be on their own so that tribal sentiment will not put you in this kind of division and confusion. You must understand this. That is why we are saying that there will be no election in Biafraland, because the first call to this is that we must first have a nation before election. When you have a nation, you are defined by your cultural tie, a common tie. On the auspices of a common tie, you can now approach the concept of election constructively, not by sentiment. Anytime you have cultural differences, your elections will be an emotional sentiment, and it will be a ground for emotional, sentimental battles. I use two adjectives, emotional, sentimental. It will be a ground for emotional, sentimental battles. And the greatest battle you shouldn't fight, the worst battle you can fight is the battle of emotion. Any battle that is on the concept of emotion is very destructive. Look at what is happening in Russia and Ukraine. Battle of emotion. Russia is playing on the emotions of the people. The sentiment that they need to control their territory and control the nations around them. The West is playing on emotion that, and all of that, and politically motivated anyways, that they are sovereign. So you cannot tell any nation not to join whatever they want to join because they are sovereign. And the emotional sentiment that is being programmed in this is what is making people to recruit into the military to join forces to fight. Any battle that is designed under the auspices of cultural sentiments is always fought on the platter of emotion, and it is very destructive. That is why Nigeria can never be normal, because anytime you are coming to election, the floodgates of emotion will be released. It can never be taken back. You know why? As long as there is tribal differences, cultural differences, religious differences, social differences, you will always have that sentimental approach to election or any vital thing, anything important. Election matters. So your election would always be a very dangerous weapon to destruction. So you must understand that in the context of Nigeria now, the tribal difference, the religious difference, the social difference are playing out. Now, let me play that video again so that you will understand what I'm saying. Now, listen to these guys telling you that they have now joined forces with APC, which means that APC controls the zoo. APC is a Fulani program for Fulanization. APC needs the Southwest. Tinubu stands in that position as a box walking, a living dead, just walking, you know. He's already, if you listen to him talk, you know that he just says rubbish. So the person who will be ruling is Shetima. And Shetima has a die-hard program for Igbos or Biafrans. Listen to what Shetima said here.
Alhaji, congratulations. Thank you very much, Kule. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Honestly, I accept your congratulations, even though I'm PDP. Because I remember one time when the fighting in Borno, when our people were being killed left and right. Then what is it, Alhaji? I said, do you remember one time when our people were being killed in Borno State, left and right, Bauchi, Gombe, everywhere in the north? Of course. I remember you were saying that was there any Southerner among us? We were the one killing ourselves. I always remember this statement, Mr. Kule. But look at this today now. Today, our brother is in charge, and I'm sure he made it clear to the world. The first thing he said was that he was moving the command of Nigerian army to Maiduguri until when Boko Haram is over. So if not your brother as a president, who will do it for you? But we could have done it to anybody in Nigeria. But you can see that some people refuse to do it for us. So really, really, today I understand why we have to have the presidency, honestly. No, it's like that, Kule. Kule is like that. Because how can anybody convince us that some miscreants cannot be dealt with by Nigerian army? Why can't we believe it was deliberately left? Even if there is no involvement of government hand in it, why can't we believe that it was deliberate? Let them kill themselves. Well, it has come out even very clear, because it was at a point in our campaign, they were saying that by the killings of Boko Haram, there will be no population again. In fact, let me tell you why the North insisted that Jonathan has to go, because we had the plan that if Jonathan continues, the same problem will happen in Kano, the same problem will happen in Sokoto, the same problem will happen in Jos and Ebro until when our population is depleted. No. We have had a wonderful experience, honestly. In order to avoid the problem, that's why I said the people. So whether he accepted or not, the North it was clear voting now. What could he have done? You remember what Babangida did for us? Babangida, you see, what happened was, even when Babangida did it, you understand? Do you get me? The bulk of the population that voted was from the North. And Rimi said it. Since Babangida was in Abuja, Governor Rimi of Kano State, then, former governor of Kano State, he said, if they were in Abiola in Lagos, Abiola Babangida will have said it is Yoruba that did it. So Abiola should fly to Kano, they will swear him as president, and they will stand their ground. Before we know, they rallied around Abiola, they said, don't go to North, if you go, they will kill you. Not this what happened. Do you understand? No. So I'm coming now. So Babangida got the... Abacha has incarcerated him for many years. I'm coming now. I'm coming. Before we are talking about the cancellation now, the cancellation of the elections. And two, didn't you not see that even from the West, there were people who supported there are big men who joined in the cancellation of the elections. But whatever it is, at that time, it was nobody was killing the Yorubas left and right. Babangida was virtually betraying everybody. And today, have you not seen him on TV? Have you not seen how he was looking? Is God not wonderful? Did you not see Babangida? Even though I have promised as from today, so long as he's my brother from the North, even if he's eating everybody in Nigeria fresh, you come out with Nigerian man leg eating, I will not say it's bad again. Because I have learned how to support my people from what I have seen with Igbos and some people in Nigeria with Jonathan. But you must thank God for Yoruba. Yoruba supported Buhari, otherwise we don't have come. No, I'm coming, please. I'm coming. Let me tell you one part. I'm coming. Listen to me, Kule. A section of Yoruba supported Buhari. Listen to me, please. Let us make this clear. You understand? We are all politicians. Yes. The Tinebus since 1960s, since the Oyibo left the country, Yoruba was told one word. We are first Yorubas. You are first Yoruba before you are a Muslim, you are a Christian or Nigerian.
Yes.
So or not so?
Yeah, you are right.
Abi? Okay.
Yes, you are right.
Now, all along, a Yoruba man, whoever he is, whether Muslim or Christian, preferred anybody in this house to rule him than a Hausa man from the north. That's the truth about it. So, fortunately, I'm coming, sir. Let me land. Fortunately, the center is controlled by non-Muslim, non-Northerners. Are you getting me? And Jonathan, fortunately for the North, Jonathan decided to use religion and slice the Yorubas to the extent, for the first time, Yorubas were divided religiously. To the extent Muslims, Yorubas stood their ground and said they were not supporting Jonathan. They even refused to attend the meetings of the Jonathan. The papers are there, their statements are there in the papers. So or not so, sir?
No, I like this.
Read it, it's there. That's the truth. It's there. Even when he went, there were some few Muslim leaders who met Jonathan. The Supreme Council of Islam of Western Nigeria, or Yorubaland, came out clearly and said no, they disagreed. Do you get me? We know the population of Yoruba, close to 80%, or let's say close to 60% are Muslim. This man constituted a national conference. This is the Yorubas that were saying it. We read it and we had them saying it.
Yes.
So that succeeded in dividing the Yoruba themselves. Now, two, the humiliation, whatever they did to us, our own was that let them kill us and reduce our population. But at least they still know that we are significant politically and they allowed us to maintain some position. But in the case of Yorubas, they were sliced out of the whole system. So or not so. That was how Tinubu and
the issue of Boko Haram, if we have to talk about Boko Haram, it's not from the south now.
I am coming now. Let me forget about Boko Haram now. We brought about the Yoruba politics. Now, Tinubu and the Yorubas generally carried what happened to them and went to Kaduna and met them in Kaduna and begged them that we have to put our head together. Look, sir, let me tell you the truth and find out. At a point, the Yoruba, being humiliated under Jonathan, were even considering to cut off and put their Oduduwa Republic. But they realized if they do that, the Igbos were completely in charge of finance, civil service, security, and everything. If they dare do that,
now East and the North, they enjoy
exactly. I'm coming now. The Yorubas now.
You didn't benefit at all.
I'm coming. Yes, the Yoruba at a point, the Yoruba intelligence at a point realized that if they cut off, the Igbos will finish them. If they stay as it is and Igbo continue ruling, they will be completely finished. Before Jonathan, significant part of the economy, who are the accountants are Yorubas, who are the judiciary and lawyers are Yorubas, who are the civil service are Yorubas. Today you can't find any one of them. So or not so? So that's why the Yorubas say, even if we want to leave this country, we must get this power out of the hand of the Igbos and reposition ourselves.
The Northerners really benefited from that Jonathan too much, Alagi.
Hey,
we have the calculations of the government.
We agree. What can he do? He must now. He must. He wouldn't do to us that. He must. He knows that we can do it. He must deal with us. So that was why the Yoruba said no. Whatever it is. So, but what I assure you,
let's keep on praying for President Buhari.
Oga, we have learned our lesson.
We have been in our area here now. They pray for him.
We have learned our lesson. Kule.
We pray for the prophet because and even our daughters.
No, to tell you the truth, the North, the northern people, notwithstanding the presidency, honestly, the trust at least of the Southeast is finished. And I assure you too, in Yorubaland, listen to me. I am coming. I am coming.
Really helped Northerners in 1979.
I am coming, please.
They helped Shagari.
Listen to me. Not that they help themselves, gentlemen, please. We don't need anybody in this country. They help themselves. Let me ask you a question, sir. Let me ask you a question. Between cars, industries, and human beings, who are more in number?
I did not know.
Not number. I'm not talking of population. I'm talking of economy now. I'm talking of cars, the motors that we drive.
Yes.
And industries that we have. Yes. If you put them on one part and you put human being on the other part, who are more in number?
Cars are more.
Cars are more than human beings? Good. 2, if you put fuel and food by the side, which one is consumed more?
It's food now.
Good. And we have food. So Igbos are actually helping themselves. Let me tell you, even in Yoruba land, let me tell you what they will do to Igbo this time. What Oba of Lagos said that we are pushing them to the ocean. Most of these markets that are banning in Lagos, look at it, they are Igbo-dominated markets. You get me? In fact, some Yorubas were telling me when I was in Lagos last weekend that it is we, the Northerners, when we are in charge of Lagos as federal capital, that open room for Igbos to come and dominate them. And it's over now. And it's over. All the businesses Igbos are doing, we are going to bring it and do it. Do you get me? Fashola for the past 5 years have refused to approve any industry, especially pharmaceutical, to Igbo people. Find out.
You are right. I get you. Are right.
Do you get me?
Right.
So the Yorubas in these 4 years, that's what we are telling ourselves. If we in the North want to be useless again, let us be. But the Yoruba people in the 4 years, they want to control their land completely. That's why Buhari have to sign that Lagos is going to be given special status. We are going to have a kind of semi-regional system. Lagos is going to have special status. It means nobody again will control Lagos. The indigenes of Lagos are the ones that are going to control Lagos. They can form land policies. Do you get me? They may decide to say, you as a Yoruba man in Lagos, you will pay 5,000 naira per annum for a land as tenant rent. Me as a Hausa man, I will pay 10,000 naira. Igbo man will pay 1 million naira. This is why they are heading for. Do you get me? So now, unfortunately, again, the attitude of the Igbos have made the illiterate Northerners who have not gone to school to realize now, I say they are powerful. They are the one who give these people land to stay. They are the one who give them food by the power of God. They are the one who accommodated them by the power of God. Do you get me? Since Igbos can turn around and humiliate us, look at what they did to us. Those people that they assemble about 400 of them and call them Boko Haram. Do you understand? Do you know that they picked them one by one? They were not moving in convoy. They made some of them to drink their urine. Congo also have to come and meet the president and tell him that, look, if one person is killed among these people, I'm telling you, no Igbo man will come out of Kano. That was how they released the Hausa people from Jigawa and Kano, whom they selected and arrested and called them Boko Haram. 2, you are in Nigeria, I'm in Nigeria. Rochas was actually brought up in the north. But it is in his own state. That's why we are telling you, even the Amechi, the Rochas of Colorado that are MP, we don't trust them. They are on their own. Let me tell you this. They are on their own. Nobody can deceive us again. We are wise now.
Businessmen, they are businessmen.
No, what I'm telling you is that Rochas was he's running to Sultan. He didn't know Sultan has no significance in this government. Even last 2 days he was in Sokoto. He didn't know that even Sultan has no significance in this government. He was in this north. It was Rochas state, Imo state, that they started saying that Hausa people must have ID card to live in that state.
Yes.
Can you hear me? They say Hausa people must have ID card to live in state.
Yes.
Until when we mobilize our people here and say, okay, in that case, all Southerners must live north. Then Jonathan now realized that there was something going on. You say, no, these things have to stop. So are we mad? Do you get me? Count every 5 shops in this north. 4 shops are owned by Igbos. What is Igbo's contribution in the economy? It's not trade, and fraudulent trade for that matter, including you. Igbo have cheated you, unless if you are not buying spare parts and tires and medicine. So or not so?
It's so allergic.
Do you get me? Yet we accommodated them. Is it going to Dubai to bring fake drugs that we cannot do it? Now the plan is drugs now. No Igbo man will again sell drugs in this north. We are going to bring it from Kano. Drugs are brought by air. They are going to open massive coolers, rooms in Kano and import it all north, and maybe whatever want to buy, come and buy from Kano. No Igbo will sell drugs again. We are tired of all this nonsense. We know how to control our places the way they control their own. What we are saying is that we are all Nigerians, but we are going to learn what they are doing in Southeast and do it in the North too. Simple. Yes. We don't have ancestors, but if Buhari today, as president of this country, want to buy land in the East, he will go and negotiate everything. Tomorrow the chiefs will come and tell him that ancestors made them yesterday night and said they should not sell the land for them. So we don't have ancestors, or we are betraying ourselves. Our ancestors have told us that we have been careless. That's why we suffered for the past 6 years. We have to wake up now.
Alagi,
it's a very serious thing.
Move forward.
No. We cannot, sir. The society is already adulterated. That's why, to be honest to you, let me tell you, to be honest to you, we never wanted Buhari in this law, so we wanted Konkoso.
Yes.
We want.
That's what I'm saying.
If it is Konkoso,
the primary, Konkoso will have defeated Buhari.
Listen to me. Hey, you know the Tinubus and Co prefer Buhari because they can.
Really tried.
Can you hear me? Because Konkoso will have solved this North-South problem for us within 6 months. In Kano, Konkoso gathered all the Igbos and told them that all these drugs that he closed all those fake drugs they are selling in Kano. They know him now. So that's why we wanted Konkoso to be the district. Igbos met in Abuja and warned us after the election that they were the ones in charge of 75% of Abuja is their own. They should be given ministers. Can you imagine? Lagosians say this is the governor they want with their rulers, everything. Igbo say no, he cannot be governor. Haba. In somebody's land. Habakule. The arrogance is too much. So 10 years ago I warned it. I said the Igbos are building nation within our nation. They will engage us within our nation and reinforce from their nation. That is exactly what we saw during the tenure of Jonathan. Immediately we voted Jonathan. What we did to Jonathan in this north, Igbos in the north, their chiefs, gathered and came to Aso Villa. To the glare of everybody on TV, they say it was nobody that voted Jonathan, but the Igbos were the ones who voted him. Did you not hear that one? Did you not read it? In our own land, Igbos say we didn't vote Jonathan. It was they that voted Jonathan. 2, before elections again, they gathered themselves and came and met Jonathan and met in Abuja and said that they are directing all Igbos in the north must vote Jonathan. We don't mind. Let them vote anybody. But can you do that in the southeast? They stop us from even voting. Let me answer this. Amina wa alaikum salam.
Alagi.
Unzone.
We call in the night. Alagi. Thank you.
Can you hear me? In the southeast, all houses in the southeast were prevented from voting. Find out. Yes, find out. But yet in our own land, they will stand and say that it is their problem that forced above Lagos to say that if they try to frustrate the decision of the Yorubas, they will send them to ocean. And I'm telling you, after 4 years, at least north we are liberal, but in the southwest, after 4 years, Igbos can never be useful, relevant again in the southeast. Wait and see. In fact, the plan of APC is that they are going to make alliance of northwest economic development. The west has the ocean. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The north has agricultural produce.
Yes.
So what they are going to do, the government is going to develop all the agricultural and mineral resources in the north. And then they will put primary industries here. And then go and export, finally finish them in Lagos or Southwest and export them and bring back the money and share it between the two regions. Let them drink their oil. This is the plan on ground.
Let's just pray for success of Mr. General Buhari. For that, his success is our success. For that, we can benefit better.
It's true.
That's our prayer now. That's our prayer here. Everybody is praying for his success for that. If he's successful, everybody is successful.
God help us. No, but not to the extent of living the way we are. Our prayer now is that may God remove the influence of the Southeast in our region. That's all what we are praying left and right now. I'm telling you.
I like you, okay.
No. The Boko Haram, these people are catch red-handed with bombs. Who are supplying the weapons? Who killed General Shua? They think we don't know. They were saying that they were revenging what they did to them in Biafra. Biafra was a war. It was a state war. Trying to bring them back to the nation. No, be so? Do you get me? Some useless videos started Boko Haram, but there was hand. Don't worry, investigation will reveal everything now. Don't worry. We were just exercising patience, looking at what is happening. That is typical Northern. That's how we are. Just look at what is happening. But we drew a line. 2014, 2015 they call it. It is the end of it. Whether anybody wins or don't win is okay. That was our decision, honestly. And they met in Enugu, and listen to me, they met and saw it that in the event of cutting it, why will they put their people? That's why the man has to surrender now. Let him, in fact, some of us preferred him to have been resistant so that we redefine this country. I'm telling you.
A lot of casualty will be many.
Nothing like killing. Let everybody go his way. Ha! Is it not rain that is falling in the north now? We have the food. What is oil? Look at Niger. Rano is still selling oil. He's bringing it from Niger. What is the big deal? It is when they met and saw the danger of any attempt. That was how they surrendered. But honestly, we have already made up our mind. Because we said to ourselves, if you don't, even if you stay, they are going to kill you. Abi? And that Jonathan, from Namadi Sambo down to the lowest person in the north is a Boko Haram. They can pick you whoever you are. We know that. At least we are part of the system. Thank you.
Now, I don't need to begin to analyze that now because it is lengthy, but I want you to understand something. If you listen to that message very, very well, you discover that most of these things he talked about have been implemented. For instance, resources are moved from Biafraland, oil sold, gas sold, money taken to the east, to the north. Recently, they told you they discovered oil in the north. But of course, we know they took pipe underground to the north and tell you they have discovered oil there. They begin to put heavy infrastructure in the north between Niger and the north. Everything, investments, industries are being built in the north, good roads and everything. But check out Biafraland. They said they are going to make that place irrelevant, inconsequential. You heard him when he said that. And of course, look at Biafraland today. You discover that the roads are bad road network, everything bad. Yet all the resources coming from there is going to develop the north. So all of these are facts. The things he said here are obvious facts. And when he comes now, he is going to effectively help to make sure that this is, he's saying it here based on the fact that this is their program. That's what he said. But when he comes now, he's going to implement them very rigorously, because if you listen to his voice, you know that he wishes that he can do something about it on his own. And now that he's going to have the opportunity to do it, and being the president, of course, Tinubu being the ceremonial president, he being the president, he's going to implement all of this stuff, and he's going to forcefully conquer the nations, both the indigenous nations. He's going to forcefully conquer them, because that is part of the program and the line. So all of these things you see him narrating here are program of conquest. Program of conquest. If you want to go to, if you are from Biafraland, you want to go and buy land in Yoruba land, the price difference is over 1,000, 1,000%. When you come to Biafraland, they're going to impoverish you, make sure nothing good comes in there, and then they will move the development over there, and then they will keep sucking the oil from their side, taking the oil underground from their side, telling you that they have oil in the north, but the oil is being taken from Biafraland. So they will now make you look like you have nothing again. They will now make you look stupid, but they are taking your resources from underground in the north. So that is the program. So you see that the program design is a complex one to deceive and to cause Biafraland to become very useless. And you can imagine, what are we talking about here? The argument here is the North doing this, the South doing this, Igbo is doing this. Why all this unnecessary argument on tribal lines when we can easily go on our own? Now, he said everybody will go because it looks like he's not favoring them. But now that they have been able to gain ground, they don't want anybody to go. They want things to remain so that they can complete the conquest. Now, why don't everybody go down so that our problem will no more be issue of tribe, the Igbos, the Yorubas, the Hausas, the blah, blah, blah. All these things will be unnecessary. What you'll be looking at is how to grow, how to develop, going to moon, going to space, going to Mars, going out, doing great things, technological advancement, and all of this. These are the things we'll be talking about. But look, can you imagine grown-up men like this? What they're talking about is tribal differences. And the Igbos has done this. The Yorubas have done this. The Yorubas and the Igbos, the Yorubas and the Hausas and the this and that. This, can you imagine the very, very terrible narrative that at this generation, at this dispensation, this level, this century, what we are talking about is the issue of tribal sentiments and differences when people are advancing. But that is what they want. They want to put you in that situation until they conquer you. Now they have gained the ground and they're looking forward to coming in, Tinubu and Shettima coming in, and then they will finally seal up that deal and conquer us. But we're not going to allow it. I'm going to stop this broadcast here for now. I wish I could continue and give more narrative to that. But tomorrow, remember, we're going to be talking about that Garba, Adamu Garba, more of and analyze some of that, and then talk more on this Shettima stuff and look at things critically, so that we can look at the critical points that are necessary for us to understand why we cannot endorse Nigeria again with an election, because an election is what will make all this narrative to continue. When you stop the election, you automatically stop these narratives, and then you have a position of restoring sovereignty. The most important thing is our sovereignty, because our sovereignty is what guarantees our success and development. There's no way Biafraland can be developed if you give it another 50 years. It will not develop under Nigeria unless you break that dangerous and evil den called Nigeria and allow the nations to go on their own and develop themselves, grow their nations, and make things work for themselves. I really wish that I could read all the messages here, I could read the messages, but I'm seeing your messages. Alenora, I can see Chuku Kadibia, I can see Stella Uzuka, Obiama, and more and more and more of my people here, just, giving us the messages and all of that. So I can see your messages, and of course, Linus, Wafru, and all of that, and so many messages, but I can't look at them right now because of time. I wish I could look at them and then narrate more on the things that you saying. But let's go on this narrative and understand that it is a dangerous thing to continue in Nigeria. It is the worst decision to make, and it is not sellable to your destiny, because your destiny does not need Nigeria. Your destiny is not of Nigeria, and your destiny cannot survive in Nigeria. Your destiny requires sovereign ground to survive. I will explain all of that tomorrow, and we'll look at Garba issue tomorrow also. So I want you guys to understand this, and then know that we are set to receive our freedom, and we must go on the narrative of our freedom. So thank you all for being part of this program. Tomorrow, join me here, 5 p.m. Biafra time, again, as the same as today, 5 p.m. Biafra time, and I'm going to give more narrative and more explanation on these facts, so that you can know what we need to do and the things we need to understand and how we must change. Remember, the lockdown begins tomorrow. No going out. Wherever you are, don't go out. Whoever you are, don't go out. Whatever you're doing, don't go out. Make sure you stay indoors, because the lockdown is tomorrow, and we begin our defense of our land, taking our land and making sure that we receive our freedom and sovereignty. And I want to appreciate you guys, all of you. Let me try to see if I can see some messages here. We have Stella saying something here. She says, we'll continue to stay in Nigeria. If we continue to stay in Nigeria. No, we can't stay, of course, Stella. It's going to be terrible when we continue to stay. So that's your tells you that, yes, it's going to be terrible. I know what you're trying to say. You're saying, if we continue to stay in Nigeria, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a terrible one. It's going to be a terrible one. And the jealousy about Biafra is so horrible, it's so obvious and so conspicuous that you cannot just imagine. He said Jonathan is good, Igbo, but South said they are not Igbo. Of course, they know. That is why we say, you see, some of our people are so foolish, because they allow these people to manipulate them. They know you are Igbo. They divide you. And then they sit back to say, look at the Igbos fighting. But you are there saying that, oh, no, we're not Igbo, because they have divided us. We're not Igbos, And yet they sit back and they call you Igbos, just like the British, the BBC and all their stooges and all their partners. They call you Igbos, they call you Biafrans, but yet you say you're not a Biafran. They know you, but you don't know yourself. Please, can anybody tell food that comes north? Okay, you're trying to talk about the food that comes from the north and all of that. So lots of messages here. I can't really read all of them out. I wish I can read them out here. This is timely. I have been expecting this audio of collage as a jingle to what we are doing. Please allow this in any of your autopilot media programs. All right. Yes, of course I will. You can even cut it. You download and cut this part, and then you can use it, and to discuss and to tell the narrative you want to tell. But we must cut off Nigeria. Nigeria must end. Nigeria must end. Nigeria must end. Nigeria must end, and that is a task that have to be done. So tomorrow there will be lockdown. No going out. Nobody goes out. Nobody comes in. Nobody. We will lock down Biafraland, and you must obey that. Very, very important. Very, very important. Very, very important. And we must all see that this happens, and we must make sure that it happens. I want to appreciate you guys for joining and for watching. Please share this video on all your social media platforms, like the video, and also subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed. Let it go viral. Let the people hear this message today as we do this together. By tomorrow, we will be celebrating the first day of the lockdown, and then we'll go further because we'll push it further. Please don't wait until you are forced indoors. Make sure you stay indoors. You should have your food. You should have everything now. Nobody goes out. We are talking about our liberation. We're talking about our freedom. We're talking about we must sacrifice for that. It doesn't come on a platter of gold. If you think that Fulani will sit down with you and discuss to give you freedom, it will never happen. It will never happen. So you should understand that we must take it by force. And that's why you saw this man who was talking about this man from South Africa, who was talking about, sit at home, 3 days sit at home. And he was telling them that it's our right. It's our right. So you must understand that sit at home is your right, because you can't go out, so they won't shoot you. You have to be indoors. That's where you're secure. And that's the best and the safest way to protest. So please be part of that and make sure, please, Mazi, let media team use that thing for jingle. It's a 17 minutes or so, message. So it will be too long to approach that for a jingle, so that's the problem. It will take a long time. I just had to, I don't play long videos like that, but I just had to take time to play this so that the one Nigerianist would listen and know what awaits them and know the kind of mindset these people have. All we're talking about is tribe, religion, and all this divide technique, when we could be talking about better things and how we're going to grow our nation, grow our territory, and become one of the best all over the nations of the world. We're looking at where we're from, who you are, Yoruba, Igbo, religion, and all of these stuff that don't really make any impact in your lives, in our lives. So that's it. I'll say, okay, Chukadibia, 1 a.m. on your side. All right, good night, my brother. Thank you so much. And I say thank you to you all. I appreciate you. Alenora, Linus, Mwafru, Oluchi, God, God, Chukadibia. Let me go down and let me see if I can see names. I can read out your Blessing Chuku, and Blessing Chuku, Obioma, Stella Ozuka, Linus, I've said it before, Mwigwe, Nemeka, Edith Nedu, good to have you here, Edith, today. And Diana Ogunbiade, thank you. Thank you for joining. Tijani Michael, Menia Tech, good to have you. Good to have you. Eleonora, of course, Okoro, thank you so much. Good to have you. Goji Onuke, thank you so much for joining, we have Diana Ogunbiade, okay, I've mentioned it. And we have Rodney Nathaniel, thank you so much. Pauline Kalu, thank you. Jano, Jackie, thank you. Afri Emmanuel, thank you. Alosie Friday, thank you. Philomena E, thank you. Kolo Michael, thank you. Temple Jaffet, thank you. We have Alosie Friday, okay, I've mentioned it. Noelin Modiambo, thank you. You said I choose the message to read. No, I'm not choosing the message to read. The messages are many, so I couldn't read all one after the other because of the much, I needed to do. So Noelin, please, I'm not choosing the message to read, please. I'm sorry. I just saw that some specific messages had some content that I needed to say at a particular time. That was why I read them, not because I started reading messages. So I'm sorry about that. And Noelin, please, I'm sorry about that. We have Amani Abdallah. Thank you, Samuel Ume, thank you. And Perot, thank you. Alosie Friday, thank you. Stella Zuka, I mentioned. And Florence, thank you. Biafra Reporters, thank you so much. Maureen's Channel TV, thank you so much. Kevin Aposiano, thank you, my brother. Thank you. Abubakar Idris, honestly, I'm from the north. No northern candidates can offer good to this country. We don't even have a country in Nigeria in the first place. Thank you so much, Ahmed. Is it Idris also? Samuel Ume, thank you. Ino Obi, thank you. Ino Obi, thank you. Ernest Jethro, thank you, Ernest. We have Uzamaka Nicholas, thank you. Okay, let me see. Ogechukwu Uba Ozono, okay. Uba Eziono, okay, thank you. Sorry, don't mind me. Sometimes I find it hard to read the name when it's long. Obiama, I didn't, we're trained with, English. Obiama Lekwachi. Now I understand English more than my language. You can imagine that. And this is what I have to break. Obiama Lekwachi, thank you so much. Edith Nedu, Chika, Chiebuka, thank you. Johnson, Ibeye, Johnson Ibeye, Oluchi Nwagod, thank you. Christian Biafra son, thank you. We have thank you guys. In fact, I can see that it seems I've read the names, all of them. Edward Uchechiog Agomo, thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much for your message. Thank you, Seth Wanoche. Thank you, Seth. Cliff Ibe, thank you. Geno Jackie, I think I've read it also. We have let me see if there's any other one that I've not read. I want to make sure I call every name. Lola, the lady, thank you. Good question. Why did Adamu Fulani see activists as a threat? Yeah, that's it. Why do they see us as a threat? Thank you so much, Lola, the lady, for that. We have who again? And please pardon me. We're going to round off now. Just Mrs. Dadadan is here also. Thank you so much. Thank you, Christian Biafra son. Of course, I've mentioned it. And thank you. We have Rodney. Of course, I've mentioned you. Dollar Fox, Nora, Obiezwe, Michael. You guys are great. Thank you guys. Let me see if there's a name I've not mentioned, so that Igwe Munoha. Thank you, Igwe Munoha. Thank you. Samuel James. Your two names are the names of the English people. Samuel James. My name, one of these is Biafra now. I need to change the other one to be Biafra. But you have two. So let's work on this. Anete Mwizu. Thank you so much. Anete. Ndudi Chuku. Thank you so much, Ndo. Thank you so much, my brother. Chiebuka, of course, I mentioned Chikwe Davidson. Thank you. Blessing Chuku, thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, okay. I hope this is not what's going on. It seems I've reached last message also. Okay, I think I've reached the last message. So thank you so much all. I appreciate you guys. That's all that we have for today. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Biafra time, we're going to be talking more extensively, deeper facts. We're going to be looking deeper. Share this video, please. Share it round so that people can hear the messages. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys, and I love you too much from the depth of my heart. I say God bless you. Very good.